Hello, loves, and welcome back to another episode of Shots of Serenity podcast. I am your host, Jasmine St. John, and this is a beautiful space to land where we explore ways to welcome peace and love into our lives through mindfulness, soul care, and self-exploration. How are you? Happy third Sunday of the new year. I'm so glad that we are here with the opportunity to live, listen, try, become, implement, and try again. Okay? Don't forget that you're allowed to try again. All of our New Year's themed or episodes closer to the New Year's are friendly reminders that you are in your own lane. You are in your own race. Just because there's a different date on the calendar does not mean that you're supposed to be this completely different human. Now, of course, if the goal is evolution, learning new things, hey, if you want to play a different life for the plot, then okay. But you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay? Okay. So if you are watching us on YouTube, we are trying different things. So bear with us. This is a two-man job, including the Lord. And we're doing the best that we can, which I'm very proud of us. And so I'm trying out flashcards. Aren't they cute? With the logo. W-Bay. And so there's a part of me that's like, oh, this is cute. This is helpful. But then I don't want to be hyper fixated on looking at them. So we're trying things out. Okay? Grace. All right. So I wanted to give some friendly reminders, right? You are on time. You deserve to believe. This year will serve you and support you in the most abundant way possible. You can make the choice. You can do the thing. There is no one better than you for the job. Okay? These are not just fluffs. These are almost like friendly reminders and, again, affirmations that I wanted to share while creating this episode and share to you guys, because again, like there's no mark for these things. These are all truths and nothing that you have to do to deserve or to be worthy enough to be reminded of those truths or to receive those truths. Other friendly reminder is to connect with us on all socials. So we have my personal page on Instagram, which is at the Jasmine St. John. And we have our podcast wellness page, Shots of Serenity, and that handle is Shots of Serenity _. And then we have our YouTube page where it's both of them put together. It's like it says Jasmine St. John, and it also says Shots of Serenity podcast. So typing in one of the other, you should be able to find us. Probably more likely to find us with Shots of Serenity, since Jasmine St. John is a name and there's other Jasmine St. Johns, surprisingly. I don't know about that, but yeah. That, and then TikTok. Although we're just trying. Okay, we're just trying. Follow us on TikTok, and I believe all of those handles are going to be the same as well on TikTok. For my personal page, it's Jasmine St. John, and for Shots of Serenity TikTok, I believe if you just type in the name, you'll find it. If not, it may have been shots.of.serenity, but either which way, all of those handles will be linked in our show notes and very accessible to find. Okay? Another friendly reminder is there's no one better than you for the job. Okay? I don't know how many times I gotta tell you that, but there's no one better than you for the job. Also, friendly reminder with all the show socials, our audio drops on Mondays and the YouTube drops on, no, I take that back. Our audio drops on Sundays and the YouTube drops on Mondays. And I would love for you guys to support both of them, because there's almost some like slight differences in maybe the type of content for each of them. Maybe in the audio, there'll be a little bit more description on the guest or something like that. Whereas on the visual, depending on the episode itself, it may have like a little vlog in the beginning, and then of course the visual antics. And so yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I guess for marketing, the call to action, please subscribe, follow, share, all the things. It would really, really, really help us out, and it'll be deeply, deeply appreciated. So, before we get started into this conversation, I want to give a disclaimer that hustle girlies, don't come for me, please. Love you guys, respect you guys. And to my fellow dilly and dalliers, I see you. This conversation may be a little bit more tailored to you guys because I'm a part of the community, but I wanted to have the conversation about honoring your energy flow. And so, this is a personal conversation, and I have been learning how to honor my natural capacity. And I would love to give some kind of like archetypes for context, right? So the first thing is I'm anemic. Oh, uh, cold all the time, blood low, energy, pits of hell. I am also a projector for my human design, meaning that I do not have this just abundant well of energy of going, of going, of going. I do better with harnessing my energy, honoring it when it is depleted, and being sure to refill my cup, not just in ways that seem cool, but in ways that actually feel good to me. I am also a Taurus. There is a part of me that is very practical. I need practicality. I need stability and all the things, but I also am, my kryptonite is comfortability, physically, comfortability environmentally, comfortability relationally. And so it is interesting how I am maturing and trying to learn how to push myself out of comfort zones, which a lot of us are. However, for me, I think it's very easy to not even notice that I'm being comfortable because it may seem like ease. It may seem like everything is getting better. But I often have to ask myself, am I being complacent? Not gonna go into my entire chart, but there's another part of me that has a stellium in Pisces. And also Pisces is my moon. We're gonna just go through the big three. And then there is my Virgo rising. So there's this practicality, there's this need for structure, there is this need for planning and routines and all the things. And then there's also this deep desire to frolic in a wheat field, field of flowers, and lay on grass with the insects and bugs. They can be around doing their own thing, just not being on me. And that is a daily battle, right? Another archetype that I want to bring in for some context is I am a Kappa dominant dosha. And so my metabolism is slow. How I metabolize my energy is slow. I am also a empathetic person and really connect with the claras. And so I feel like I feel things very deeply. It's very difficult to act like there isn't a certain type of energy when it's very loud. Even if it's very subtle, it feels very loud. What are some other things that I want to highlight? I'm just a girl. If we don't say anything else, I am a woman, okay? The way that my body goes through the cycles like the moon herself, I'm a different person 4 times a month, okay? 4 times a month, I am a different human. And we can kind of keep going and going and going. I think I'm very much so a middle ground, like an ambivert. I can be extroverted, but I also like my bed. I like to be to myself. Sometimes connecting with people could be very scary. I feel like I'm in the middle between a type A and a type B person. I can be very, very logical if needed with the technicalities of things, but I'm also very, again, dilly-dally, intuitive, very go with the flow type of vibe. And so I wanted to highlight all of those things because they give a little bit of context to this conversation, and the slow burn of understanding these different things have allowed me to understand myself and give myself grace for the ways that I show up. And so we'll get into that a little bit later in the conversation. I do want to highlight that I am also so much more than these theories, perspectives, medical conditions, and sacred wisdom, right? This is more so for context. And again, if you're looking at it from a theoretical standpoint, from sacred wisdom and traditions, and then again, some medical concerns and complications. I am composed of sacred karma, cultural implications, genetic and environmental influences, they all play a big role, as well as my upbringing, life experiences, and so, so much more. And so, if you have been riding with me from the beginning, then you know that I used to be someone that's like, I don't adhere to rules. Like, I don't adhere to rules. I am not someone all the way left or all the way right. The ways that I do show up and being all the way left and all the way right is if I fuck with you and if I don't. That's it. Either it's a yes or it's a no. It's all in. I am a committed Taurus. I am loyal. I am a little jealous too when other people get to love on you as well. But other than that, I'm very gray. I am very gray. I say all this to say because I invite you to explore your tools, to explore sacred wisdom and ancient and modern traditions that resonate with you. Language gives context. Theories give context. We are humans who really love to be conceptualized, and we love to conceptualize things so that way we can understand it mentally and emotionally, and in hopes use this information, use this knowledge, this insight, this process of intellectualizing said thing, and embody it in a way that is practical and realistic for ourselves. That is me in real time of kind of that duality. Use this information for context. Use this information for the reality of things, but also check in with yourself and see what that looks like for you specifically. And I say that to say someone else that is anemic may not show up the way that I'm showing up. Another woman in their luteal phase, although they may experience the same 4 phases as myself, it will and could look very differently in the way that it manifests for each of us, right? Again, just because my big 3 are those things, there are so many other intricate pieces of my astrological makeup and just like upbringing, cultural influence, and all of the things. So I'm not saying to use this for Bible and for gold. But what I am saying is by understanding these archetypes have allowed me to feel seen, to feel like I'm not going crazy, that I'm not tripping, and most importantly, it's felt very reassuring. I want to be honest that I did also have a moment where I weaponized it, right? What I mean by that, I'm just like, oh, I'm anemic, that's why I'm tired, so like I can't do the thing. Or I'm fatigued, my capacity is really low, so I just can't do the thing. Or I'm a Taurus, like I'm gonna be comfortable, why not? It's like, okay, that's not all of you, right? Also, again, it was weaponizing the reality of me either procrastinating, either emotionally feeling stressed or anxious or unsure or having self-doubt. And so it was easier to say like, oh, maybe this just isn't for me. Or, oh, this is outside of my comfort zone, right? And this is a no judgment zone, right? being very honest here. And when I give the disclaimer about hustle girlies don't come from me, because a lot of my examples, of course, are going to be from personal experiences. But I can see someone being a high capacity person or a generator or a manifesting generator or someone who has a lot of practicality and like structure and is very logical, say, I can't rest. I just gotta go. I do my best when I'm moving all the time. I do my best when I'm busy. A busyness attracts me. I have to be busy. And I can see, and I've seen those type of archetypes or those type of personalities, those type of people use that as an excuse as to why they can't rest or why they should not rest or why resting is not beneficial for them. And towards the end of this conversation, we'll talk about the importance of both of them, right? The importance of masculine and feminine energy, the importance of yin and yang, and all those things, right? We'll get to it. But again, this is a safe space. I was weaponizing those archetypes. Okay, yes, we get it. You're anemic. Get some goddamn beets. Drink something. Get your iron up. Take some vitamins. Do something. But because if anything, iron is probably the one thing that's very much so in your control. Get it together. Okay, yes, my cultural experiences, my background, and you're an adult. Take accountability. Okay, take accountability. Go to therapy. Fix those issues. Heal. Okay, projector, granted, yes. Your energy is not abundant. Okay, but when you do have it, how are you using it? Right? When you do have it, how are you maximizing it? If you have that understanding that you don't have this abundant amount of energy, why are you burning yourself out? And I mean this now with love, and this is just how I talk to myself, but it had to be a constant cycle of grace. It had to be a constant cycle of trial and error. And I am still doing those things. I still feel maybe on level 2 if we had to give it a number. And so I am not coming from a space of I have the ultimate hack for the anemic girlies, or I have the ultimate hack for individuals who are a projector or have difficulty with their gut. No, this is me holding myself accountable and being honest that from maybe about the end of 2025 and my intentions for 2026 is to, instead of beating myself up for ways I'm not showing up or not having an abundant supply of energy, how can I engage in some self-love and some self-care and some self-respect and continue learning who I am, but also maximizing my strengths and not feeling bad for myself or feeling like I need to become this other person or my makeup right now is not good enough. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Okay. So with that being said, some things that I have been trying to be intentional about, I wanted to highlight them. And again, I am really trying to learn how to work in flow and ease, with intention. So one of the things is grace, kind of like what I mentioned. Instead of me beating myself up or feeling like I will never get my energy together or never get my gut together or never lose weight or whatever the case may be, really enjoying the small wins, really making the small decisions, the small choices, and not beating myself up for not being perfect. With that being said, something that I've been trying to work on is my gut health. And instead of me hyper focusing on losing weight or trying to have this certain body type, learning how to understand how my metabolism works, learning how to understand and honor certain foods, although they taste great, maybe I can only eat it earlier during the day. At night, stomach pain, waking up, horrible, all of the things, especially as I'm getting older and my body is changing. Movement. Again, I said I like comfortability. If I can spend my time especially right now at the time of this recording with a blanket and a heater and then another weighted blanket and some comfy pillows and some cozy socks 24/7. Sign me up. Like, I am just getting aroused thinking about it. However, stand up, go for a walk, move, stretch as often as possible. Sacred returns. We actually did an episode about this. I don't know which episode, but pretty recently. And that language, I feel like, has really contributed to grace. And I want to be extra and say change my life. And so what I mean by that is, instead of me feeling like, oh my gosh, you did not do this one thing every single day for 365 days, you are not consistent. That's not realistic, babes. And also learning how to return back to said practice, said thing, in a sacred way, in a way that will really align with whatever season I am in. And so another thing that I have on here is routines and lists. And sometimes I even get so overwhelmed if, like, the list needs to be written down. Do I need to put it on my phone? It needs to be organized, da da da. And now I'm just trying to write things down. Like, just create a list. Let's see how it goes. Let's create these, like, different reminders, different, like, sticky notes around your environment, and let's play with that a little bit. What is that looking like? Another thing that I've been being intentional about is, like, not pushing through. There is a part of me that is a huge part of me, very resilient. When I want to figure something out, I will sit and figure it out. And I feel like if I start something, I want to be able to finish it through. Like, and there's also a part of my brain that needs to finish it through, or I'm going to start another task. I even forgot to add an archetype. How could I forget? This is how the ADHD girl is. Of course I forgot. Very on brand, right? So I also want to add on there, ADHD girl is a newer divergent. Your brain is going, if you can tell. Anywho, but not pushing through. And when I don't need to, if I feel like, okay, if I just stay up a little bit later, I can really get it done. Shut it down, babes. Yes, you probably may be able to get it done, but then it starts this cycle of tomorrow you're exhausted, you're fatigued, you're having brain fog, all the things. And again, that's not to say that maybe there are, again, certain times and certain seasons where maybe I do got to kind of lock in, or if I sacrifice or chose to rest or to sleep in earlier in the day, and then the latter part of the day, I need to increase my productivity, then that's just the exchange that I'm making for that time. A few other things is declaring things out loud. I think I need to say things out loud and be very intentional about, like, okay, I said I'm doing this, let's do it. And sometimes that doesn't always work. Like, I can't just say, oh, like, yeah, this month I want to cut out dairy, but, like, I really have to say it out loud, write it down, say it to even my partner so she can hold me accountable, and not just be in theory of a thing, because then it doesn't feel, I don't feel like I respect it. It's like, I write it down, I say it for real, like, there's wiggle room there. Daily, weekly, monthly resets. And this is something that I really want to work on in 2026. Instead of me taking a break from work when I am exhausted or burnt out, really trying to find a way to add into my structure daily breaks. And that's also something that's been helping out as it relates to my level of focusing and concentration when I'm doing work or going from different task to task, mindsets to mindsets, is giving myself block periods, and being intentional about that rest in between. Yes, it may be nice to go on Snapchat and scroll when I have 15 minutes, but it can also be a lot more beneficial to go outside and stand there for a few minutes, or take some time, use the bathroom, drink some water, put my feet in the grass, and use the 15 minutes in that way. Or actually get a snack or walk around the block, something. The last ones are surrendering. And so, to that comfortability, that version of myself that I am used to, receiving support from my spiritual team that, again, I don't have to figure all out on my own. I don't have to be so practical and create so many lists and routines where I'm almost becoming neurotic about it. And then one of the last ones that I have no context for, I'm just trying, is exercising my masculine energy a little bit more and showing up and doing as much as I can. And when I say doing as much as I can, is if I have a task for the day, instead of me pushing off the task to the next day or avoiding it out of like fear or just like fear for any reason, completing it. It almost kind of like strengthens the relationship with myself, that I can trust myself, like I can do the things that I said I would do. And then I've been noticing that as I practice that a little bit more, it reminds me that the amount of time it actually takes to do something is not as long as I think that it is, and the task is not as difficult as I'm making it seem. But having those reps of completing them, of doing them, of showing up for myself and seeing myself check these things off of my list or whatever task to-do list that I've created, it feels like, okay, you're practicing what you're preaching, kind of like a relationship, right? Like if your person, family, friend, intimate partner is telling you, yeah, I'm gonna do this for you, or I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna change this, their words are nice because, yeah, talk to me nice, but when their actions follow up, it almost is just like, take me. Because now you're a person of your word. Wow, I love this. And so same with the relationship with self. All right, so my last few things is the importance of language. In 2025, I was learning that I did not like the word discipline or laziness or productivity or consistency. They felt very triggering. And the way that I heard those words used felt incongruent with, again, my natural makeup, my genetic makeup, or not even just, maybe you can put that in there too. And it felt like because my consistency, my discipline, my productivity was not looking like the next person, that there was something that I was lacking. And so assess if you need to and use other words or reframe those words if needed. There was a consistency problem. And so instead of me avoiding, be like, I just don't like this word, I had to reframe what consistency looks like and means to me. Even discipline, I don't like the word. And maybe in another season I will. And so oftentimes I try to exchange discipline with devotion. And so again, assess how you relate to certain words. And if you need to change them for a season, then change them. If you need to reframe how you relate to them, do so. Because language is super important, right? And when I wasn't reframing or using other words, it really impacted my grace because my perception of how I was supposed to be impacted my thoughts, right? And so once our thoughts starts going, it impacts the way we speak about ourselves. And the way we speak about ourselves impacts our behavior and how we follow through. And it's almost like this unconscious cycle why language is important, how we talk to ourselves is important. Because if all I'm hearing is negativity or lack or less than, then I am going to start believing those things about myself, even if it's not true. And so that's why even in the beginning, wanted to speak life into all of us, because these things are true. And it's important to remind yourself of the truth. We're constantly trying to reach the next thing, do the next thing, create the next goal, and those are very fair and needed. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with those things. And are we being gentle with ourselves? Are we talking gracefully to ourselves? How are we communicating with our inner child? Which I think is a whole nother episode and conversation in itself. It also kind of decreased the way that language and how I was internalizing it also decrease like the volume of my spirit and my intuition. Because our mind is going to make up anything, even if it's not really true, right? An example that I use like this week in therapy, or last week, I guess, depending on when this is posted, is I can be having a conversation with someone and I'm like, yeah, you know, the sky is blue. And then the person can receive it like, so what you mean the sky ain't purple? And it's like, well, we're so saying the same things. You're right. I don't believe the sky is purple either. And I'm right. The sky is blue. But how that person chose to internalize and comprehend what I said is so far left than my intention of highlighting how beautiful and blue the sky is. And they received it in a defense or maybe a belittling manner of like, no, the sky is purple, right? And so again, I gave that as an example because the way that we talk to ourselves is so important. But when we don't take time to maybe even sometimes use less words and not really use our mind, but use our body, use our spirit for communication, it decreases almost like the volume of your spirit and of your intuition. It's almost like you can't hear it as much. And so my final thoughts, we need both, right? We need productivity and we need rest. We need hustle and we need connectivity. We need yin as we need yang. We need practicality as we need flow. And we need masculine energy as we need feminine energy. And so again, like anything, this is never saying that how you relate to these conversations are for better or for worse or right or wrong. And what does balance look like for you in said topic? And have you been spending a lot more time in your masculine, and maybe it's a season for your feminine? And my last thought on that is, I think I used to operate a lot in masculine type of energy, but then I met my partner and then it's just like, oh wow, I can dilly, I can dally, I can do all these things. And it took a moment to remind myself that like I am capable of doing the difficult things. I'm capable of figuring out, because I had to for so long. It's just that now that I don't necessarily need to out of survival, it feels like that muscle is not exercised or as strong as it used to be. And like all muscles, I can create some time, some practices around exercising it again, right? So, anywho, I love you guys so, so much. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, this episode, as much as I enjoyed yapping about it and recording it. I pray that the rest of January is kind to you, remembering that you're doing a beautiful job. Stay warm, enjoy the winter holiday, and I'll see you guys next episode. Namaste.